Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Haley. Today we're going to be doing episode 3, this is 3 in ASL, episode 3 of the For Those Who Overshare podcast, and today's episode is going to be all things mental health and therapy. So I'm going to be sharing my therapy journey, kind of why I started therapy, mental health, things like that. And I'm going to be sharing what I've learned in therapy. I know that not everyone has the same access to healthcare as I do. I didn't even have access to healthcare until about a month ago. So I definitely relate to that. And it's very important for me to share things that might not be accessible to everyone on my platform. So if you guys are interested in therapy, if you're struggling with mental health, just please watch this video. I hope that you can gain something from it. And if you enjoy this video, please leave me a like and please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. I would love to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. Again, the more people we have here, the more people we can reach. So that's very important to me. That's what this podcast is all about, just oversharing to help others. So anyways, so with that being said, let's get started in my therapy journey. So I started therapy like literally a month ago, probably a little bit longer than that, but I've only had I think 4 sessions with her, so we'll consider it a month. And I started therapy because I was just struggling with my reactions to things. I'm a very reactionary person. Like when we talk fight or flight, I'm very much a fighter. So I grew up with as a teen, I developed really big anger issues. So I was very explosive, I was very angry, and that came out at school, at home, everything. I was just an angry girl. And I think that, so I guess we'll just start in childhood. So in childhood, I really struggled again with anger. I actually learned so I also have a bachelor's degree in psychology, so I do know my fair share of psychology things as well, but every educated person still needs a therapist, and I'm not even on the level enough to be a therapist. So something I learned as a teen in therapy is that the most basic emotion that one can express is anger. So everything, if you're not or you weren't taught how to regulate your emotions very well, everything is going to manifest as anger. So rejection, sadness, fear, embarrassment is a big one. All of those things are going to manifest as anger if you haven't learned emotional intelligence and like how to decipher your feelings. Everything's going to manifest as anger. So that's exactly what happened to me. I only knew anger. I was only ever taught anger and then submissiveness. I was not a submissive child. I was not a submissive person. Growing up, there were people around me who were. I won't mention any names. I was devoted to being the exact opposite of submissive because I saw what happened to people who were submissive. So I was just not going to allow myself to be. So I was just not going to allow myself to be submissive. So I became, again, when we talk fight or flight, I was a fighter. I still am. I just have learned to control it a bit better. In my late teens, I really struggled with anger. It was getting worse and worse. I was having really bad panic attacks. So I think it was like 14 or 15. I just had really bad panic attacks. My panic attacks manifested differently than anyone else I know. So if you guys have experienced panic attacks the way I'm about to tell you I have, let me know. But I have a very like physical response in my body when I have panic attacks. So my whole body kind of goes like numb and tingly. I know that sounds like probably super weird. Anytime someone's described their panic attack to me, they describe it as like their heart is pounding and they can't breathe. That happened to me too, but I also just so happened to have like a physical response in my body. Like, again, like what it really is depersonalization or disassociation. So it's not even that I went numb and tingly. My body just wasn't understanding that when I'm touching myself, my the receptors like in my brain weren't realizing that this was my hand touching me, if that makes sense. So I was just super disassociated during those panic attacks, which is weird because like you're having a panic attack but you're in third person. It was kind of weird, but I think that was why I was having a panic attack, because I would disassociate and I couldn't feel my body. So I ended up getting on Paxil, which is an antidepressant. As an adult, I don't know if they should be prescribing that to children. I mean, I know kids need something too. I guess things different. Well, I'll explain. I don't think that's true. I'll explain. So when I was on Paxil, it really caused me to just disassociate even more. So I remember being in Helen, Georgia, which is a small town in North Georgia where they have something called tubing, and you can go basically water rafting. And I remember sitting at the end of that at one of the like picnic tables, and I remember everyone getting up and calling me and being like, "Hey, let's go, let's go, let's go." And I could hear them and I wanted to answer them, but I was so disassociated that I couldn't even make myself look alert. Like I couldn't bring myself back. It was incredibly scary. So after that, I was like, I don't know if this medication is for me. So I ended up not taking that anymore. But I did take, as well as Paxil, I also took lorazepam, which is kind of how it was described to me. I don't know if this is accurate or not, was that it was like a lesser version of a Xanax. So I think they might be in the same class or something like that of drug. But I loved it. Lorazepam really worked for me. I did not take it. So I was prescribed very specific instructions for this lorazepam. I was only to take it when I had a panic attack, and I was only to take a quarter or at most half of a pill. So that worked perfectly for me. It calmed me without making me high. So it literally, all it did was just stop the panic attack. It didn't cause me to be high. It didn't cause me to be happy, sleepy. It just evened me out, and it was amazing. I mean, I really loved it. I took my prescription very seriously. I grew up around drug addiction, so I was not playing any games when it came to addiction and substance abuse. Like, I just was not going to get into that game with myself. So I took everything very much as described, and I did not let myself get like ahead of myself, if that makes sense. So with that being said, I was on that. It didn't end up working out for me. And then, so I had the lorazepam to stop my panic attacks, but I was still very angry. So I always considered myself like a bully of bullies. And trigger warnings here about bullying and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into anything too intense, so don't worry. But I definitely, in my like middle school years, I guess, was a bully. I won't deny that. I, again, didn't know how to feel anything except anger, and I'm sure there was a lot of internalized resentment for people who had money and good lives. I always considered myself a bully of the bullies. So I remember picking on like the preppy kids who would make fun of the autistic kids, but to be fully transparent with you, I think I was a little bit of a bully to everyone. I think I was just looking for reasons to be mean to people, so being mean to people who were also mean was just an easy target for me. I wasn't a huge fighter or anything in middle school. I wasn't the nicest person. And then leading into high school, I moved far away. Not far away, but I ended up moving and switching high schools. And in high school was fine to begin with. I had lots of friends, but I think the life stress just started to get to me the later that I was into high school. So I, again, was like very angry, but instead of like being a bully or anything this time, I kind of just withdrew myself. So like, also, I mean, I was also a year older than everyone, so by the time I was a senior in high school, I should have already been graduated and in college, so I felt a little out of place, if I'm being honest, because I already have a late birthday. I was born in September, so I was running on like almost 2 years older than a lot of these people. And again, so it was hard for me to get along with people in high school as the years went on, because I just felt like I didn't relate to any of them. They were like worried about football games and cheerleading and sports, and I'm like, I am just worried about where I'm gonna move when I graduate, like where I'm gonna go to school. How am I gonna go to school again? I have a full-time job. I'm working at Dunkin' Donuts and paying for all my own things. My dad graciously got me a car, but I just couldn't relate. So I was very unhappy, and I ended up starting therapy. I kind of skipped over a little, but I ended up starting therapy in 11th grade because I got into a fight, kind of not really a fight, but almost a fight, with someone who was my friend, kind of, and then not really, but not really. I found out that she was cheating on someone that I think we also considered like a mutual friend. And my other friend like confronted her, and she started like arguing with my friend, and I was like, and she was like kind of lying, and I kind of jumped in and I was like, you're lying? Like, you're literally lying. And she like totally victimized herself, so it really pissed me off. It really ended up pissing me off because she was victimizing herself as if I was trying to fight her, but she was the one being loud and aggressive. So I just ended up getting so mad. So we were like about to fight. I think I like pushed her, she pushed me or something. And then it got broken up. My school didn't tolerate fighting at all. So like there were always people out watching, so a fight never really got anywhere. But I got sent to the principal's office, and at this point, again, I was pretty close to the principal because I didn't know how to behave. And I started hyperventilating. So I'm in the principal's office hyperventilating, and they can tell that I'm like, I guess I'm very disturbed, I guess. So I obviously end up getting suspended, and when I was allowed back in school, I had to go to the guidance counselor, and I was pretty much told that I had to start therapy. So it was not really by choice. So they gave me some recommendations. Again, because I was under the age of 18, I got self-pay prices for only like $20. So I went every week to therapy. And I took, the person that they recommended me. And I really loved her. She taught me a lot about anger management. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I learned now. Honestly, I can't fully remember all of it, but I know that she taught me that they were like, that anger was like a tree, like a family tree. If you were drawing one, you have anger, and then you have like resentment, bitterness, and then you have, embarrassment and rejection. So she was just working me through all the different emotions and how to, act when you're feeling those ways instead of always being angry, and really just being able to communicate, hey, I'm hurt, I'm feeling rejected, I'm feeling bitter, instead of just being like, screw you, bye. So she did really, really awesome work with me as a teen. But then I, graduated high school, and I moved, and I made a really, really bad life decision to move in with my mom after high school, and I didn't immediately start college. It didn't last long, but I ended up, so I'll kind of skip over that, but that was a very, again, recklessly angry part of my life at 19 years old. But then I ended up moving out into an apartment of my own, and then I moved back in with my grandmother. Again, I was dating my current fiance all throughout this time, not the therapy time, but from the time I, graduated and was an early adult, I guess you could say. So we were together this whole time, and he was honestly my biggest supporter and person that's helped me regulate myself. So I moved back in with my grandmother, and my fiance and I and my grandmother all decided that I would go to college. I always wanted to go to college. I never didn't plan on going to college. I just didn't know how. I didn't have parents' financial aid. If you guys want a story of like how I got through college, please let me know and I can film that. I do want to film that. But so I didn't really know how I was gonna do it though, and I was just in such a bad place in my life because I didn't know, and I just didn't know what I was gonna be or how to be what I wanted to be. So my grandmother and my fiance helped me so much at the time, and I decided that I would start college. And again, I had a full-time job throughout all of this, but then a few years, I started college. That was going well, and then I got a job as a CNA, certified nurse assistant, caregiver, and that was really good for my mental health because I realized something I had a passion for. So I am super passionate about the elderly, geriatric care. So I pursued that, and I was in school. I literally went to school in the mornings and worked 3 to 11 at night. And it was nice because when my super loving residents went to sleep, I could do my homework. So it was really great. And when I hit around 23 years old, I realized, I don't know, I was always I was not a crier. Like, I was emotional in an angry way, but I was not like a super sensitive, cryy type of person. Again, like, I didn't know how to feel those things. But when I turned 23 years old, I had such a crazy breakthrough. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Like, I literally don't know. But something, like, my brain developed more or something. I don't know. But I had a huge breakthrough. And all of a sudden, all the feelings that I never felt before, couldn't feel or regulate, just came rushing in. And I was just emotional. It was a great time for me. Like, I learned so much about myself during these times, but it was a lot at once. And I went from never crying to now I will cry at the slightest thing. I don't know, like, everything changed. I started crying about my past, and it's like something, like this wall broke, and I don't know what pulled the trigger for that to break, but I'm happy that it broke. All of those feelings and emotions were always there. I just didn't know it. So I had a huge breakthrough at 23. But as the years went on, I developed really bad anxiety and really bad depression because, again, I learned how to regulate my anger, but I did not know how to regulate all of these other emotions. And still to this day, I still struggle with it. It was just like, whoa, what do I do with all of this? Like, so again, what might have might have pulled the trigger too? I'm in school for psychology. I think that may have broken a wall too, of past trauma and stuff. That may have had something to do with it. I don't know, but I was going through a lot of trouble with my relationship. I honestly will admit to you guys, I was probably one of the worst girlfriends ever. And I'll say that with my chest. I was never like abusive physically or like volatile or unfaithful. Like, I was never any of those things, but I just did not treat him well. I didn't know how. I mean, from what I've seen in relationships, I haven't seen much. I had never seen any of that. So again, I was not a good person overall. I think I wanted to be, but I didn't know how. So yeah, I was horrible to him, and he was so patient and kind and loving and accepting, and he taught me. I mean, not alone. I had my grandmother's help, but through psychology and my own inner work, and my fiance is how I'm here today. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I was so awful to him. Like, I was awful to everyone. And again, not because I didn't want to be, but because I had so many different things in my head about the way that life worked, and all of those were based off of trauma. And so I thought he was doing so many things that he wasn't, and I thought that he was someone he wasn't. And this whole time he had been great and loving and amazing, and I couldn't see that. So I was extremely ungrateful. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not, an angel, and he's not perfect, but he certainly didn't deserve to be treated the way that I treated him. So shout out to him for working with me and helping me be better. He knows a lot about regulating his emotions and things like that, so he's always been my biggest supporter with that. But again, I started having all these big emotions that I didn't know what to do with. So that's how we got into overreacting. I became someone who overreacted and exploded emotionally about everything. And not all of it was in an angry way, explosively sad, explosively anxious. Like everything was just this big, it's called catastrophizing. Everything was a catastrophe. I was anxious. I was actually diagnosed with OCD at one point because everything was just like boiling over. I worked full-time. I went to school full-time. I lived on my own, but then I lived with my grandparents. Like, everything was just so unstable in my life, and I couldn't handle it anymore. And so I just became super overreactive to everything. Like, everything, one little thing would just boil over. And in the past few years that I've moved in with my fiance, things have definitely stabilized for me. When I moved in with him, I was getting ready to graduate college. So, I mean, I've done that now. I graduated college. I got a job, and life has just really, really slowed down for me and stabilized. And I think it's weird, like, in a strange way, it's been hard for me because I'm so used to everything being chaotic that now I'm just like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I have all of these like trauma responses and things that I have no use for anymore. So it's like, how do I get rid of those? So now the reason I started therapy again for myself this month or last month was I don't know how to trust my own reactions. I don't know what's worthy of a big emotional response or what's not. Because again, like, my natural instinct is to overreact to things, but I've grown so much, and I want to be a good friend and a good person and a good fiance, a good daughter, a good granddaughter. So I don't want to overreact and like freak out about things, and my anxiety is just like, I mean, it was like really bad. And I'm someone who in therapy we were talking about like I'm a big go big or go home person. Like, I either don't clean at all for a month or the house is spotless, and it's like, which one is it? So I decided to start therapy for that reason, because I just need to learn some new skills. I need to learn how to manage my emotions. I need to learn how to trust myself. I need to figure out, I really just needed someone to talk to, because I emotionally dump on my fiance too much. I have friends, I have family, but he's the most regulated person I know, so my natural instinct is to dump all of these feelings on him, and it's not fair to him. He's amazing, don't get me wrong. Like, he would carry the weight of my problems if they were 10,000 more pounds than they are right now, and never complain about it. But for me, as someone who loves him, I don't want to do that to him. We have to be two wholes coming together, not two halves of a whole. I need to be a whole as me, so that I can better serve him and our relationship and our future kids one day. So as we have entered engagement and all those things, I need to be a better me. I need to learn how to control my reactions, and I don't even really struggle with control now. I can control my reactions to things, but now I struggle with letting it go. Like, I'm a dweller. It's really bad. Like if something hurts my feelings, or I'm anxious about work or something, like, I can't go home and let it go. Like, I end up just being upset all the time. And it's not a way to live. And my life has settled down now, and my life is so beautiful, and I'm blessed in so many ways, and I still can't manage to wake up and be grateful. So that's why I started therapy. And at first, I didn't know if I liked my therapist or not. By the way, I found her on growtherapy.com. I can link it down below if you guys are interested. They take insurance. Again, I wouldn't have been able to afford therapy without insurance, but I only have to pay $20 as my copay with Cigna, so it's been really, really amazing. And again, my heart goes out to anyone who can't afford or doesn't have health insurance and can't afford care. It's like $120 without insurance. So my heart goes out to you guys. I know what it's like. Like, I didn't have access to health care in any of it, not even medical, for years. So, and I have an autoinflammatory disease. So I get it. So my heart goes out to all of you who may be struggling with that, but I hope this can help. But again, so I didn't know if I liked her at first. I kind of felt like I didn't get to say everything I needed to say, but the past 2 sessions I've had with her, I think she just needed to create like a baseline of what she was going to do for me. So I didn't get to talk as much because she needed to kind of tell me some things and like tell me. So she's given me some really nice tools, but I didn't feel like I got to like get everything off my chest. But our last session together was great for that. So it's been really good. At first, we haven't fully reached a diagnosis yet, except for anxiety and depression, obviously. But honestly, there's so many people that struggle with that now. I certainly don't want to be medicated if I don't have to. Again, I have like bipolar runs in my family, so I have very specific genetic markers where when I take medications, my body metabolizes them differently than a lot of people. So like when I do like Mary J, I almost go into like a psychosis because my body just can't handle it. And so many people thought that was so many people think that's weird when I tell them, and I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm like, you know, my body just can't handle drugs like that. So my body just can't handle that. So she's basically told me if I did need medication eventually, I would need to get a gene test to see what medications will work for me and what won't, because my body is so sensitive. So we're kind of discussing that. She said my anxiety levels have gone down, but my depression levels are pretty much the same, and I guess I could feel that. I honestly feel fine right now, though. The last assessment I took was right before my menstrual cycle, so I think that may have had a lot to do with it, but I think therapy is definitely helping now I want to tell you guys what she's taught me so far. So basically, again, I wanted her help with my reactions, how to deal with present day trauma. So I'm feel pretty good about how I handle like past trauma and stuff like that, and how I navigate that and have healed from that. But I still have trauma going on to this day, like that I won't get into, but there's still like a lot of like things that go on that can be traumatic for me sometimes. So I wanted to learn how to handle that. So the first thing that she told me to do was start journaling. So let me see if I can show you guys really quick. So I downloaded this app. She told me not to spend any money, but I did anyways. It's $2.99. I just realized I haven't journaled since March 19th though, so that's really bad. She told me that I need to start journaling and tracking my moods. So here are like kind of what my moods were looking like for the month of March. Again, I haven't updated this recently, but so there's like normal, bad, and like good. There's a few different emotions on each. So this was like my score. With this journal, again, it doesn't have to be much. She just wants me to track my mood, and she wants me to track my sleep. So I was telling her that some days, you know, I work really long hours, so some days I can literally sleep like 13 hours. And I was like, I know that this is a huge problem. And she was like, yeah, like that's a lot of sleep. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, how is your like circadian rhythm? Like, how's that going? And I was like, honestly, some nights I stay up late, like on weekends, and Monday nights I go into work late on Tuesdays. So I'll stay up late sometimes and then sleep in Tuesday morning. And she was like, no, you can't do that. She was like, you and your fiance are just gonna have to sacrifice, like compromise with time, because you can't be going to sleep late sometimes when you have to get up early. Like, you're just messing up. So she was like, I need you to track your sleep so we can decide whether or not this is a mental thing or your circadian rhythm is just out of whack. And honestly, I've been doing so much better. So I don't know. But and the second thing, again, tracking my moods. I'm not going to talk about any possible diagnoses yet, because her and I aren't even there yet. But she wants me to track my moods so that we can track my mood together. And she also wants me to track my menstrual cycles again. So I was really having a hard time the week before my period, and I didn't know it. And I do track my period, but I guess I just, I didn't look at it to see if that was why. And so she made me track that, pay attention to that more when I'm not feeling well. So those are the three things. And then the second thing she told me was about, she has told me to implement is skincare, self-care. So self-care for her does not include hygiene, anything hygiene like face washing, all of the self-care things you see on TikTok, like facial rolling. She was like, no, those are just hygiene. Self-care needs to be something like that, and it can't be like something on your phone or something like on the TV. It needs to be, one of them needs to be physical activity, and then this needs to be every day. So 15 minutes every day, you need to do something physically active, and then you need to have two other things that are not physical. So three self-care activities a day. So for me, mine has been walking 15 minutes at least. I'm trying to get up there to do more. My gym membership recently got canceled, so I've been just trying to walk more. And I read my audiobook on the way to work. because I have a really long commute. So that's one of my self-care things. I'm still working on the third. I want my third one to be like ASMR. Obviously, I don't need to film. I'm not just ASMR, but filming in general. So that could be one, but I'm still working on a third, but I'm at least doing well with the two that I do every day. So yeah. And then the last thing she's taught me was about support systems and how you need a really strong support system. Again, not everybody can have this, so, or has this. I think I do have a pretty great support system right now, but again, I was emotionally dumping all over my fiance, so she was like, you know, there's so many different organizations you can join, like community leagues, Bible studies at church. Like, she gave me a whole entire list of things in my area that I could do. So that will probably be a work in progress, because I am happy with my support system right now. But I do definitely want to make friends and be a better friend and do more things. So that might be something I looked forward to in the future. But again, I'm just really enjoying therapy, and not even for a diagnosis or anything like that, but and I'm not interested in med management at the moment, but if it comes to that, then I will look into it. But I'm just really enjoying having someone to talk to every week about, and again, like, what if I need to talk about my fiance to somebody? I need an unbiased opinion. And of course, my friends are great, but I don't want to emotionally dump all over them either. So therapy is great for that. And you don't want to bring other people into your relationship. And we're hoping now we're definitely going to, probably next year, we're getting married next August. So the top of next year, we are going to start marriage counseling together. Not because there are issues, but I think it's important to go into marriage with a strong foundation. We are very strong now, or obviously, or we wouldn't be engaged, but I think it's important just to make sure we're on the same page in all the ways. We've been together for almost a decade, so we're pretty much on the same page about everything, but just learning how to be better parents, better communicators, the best versions of ourselves before we get married is really important to me, and I think it's going to bring us so much closer and just help us prepare for problems before they arise. So I'm really excited about that, and I wanted to start therapy again top of this year so that I can be my best self, bringing myself into marriage counseling as well. So and again, I want to be the best wife and the best mother that I can be, so I gotta get my shit together. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that this video helped someone. I know I wasn't in a lot of detail. It's funny, I feel like I sang so many things, but then when I get on camera, I don't know if I just get kind of shy or what, but I forget everything I was going to say, and I can have notes, but I don't say things always say things the way that I would want to, like I really want to say them. So sorry if I seem kind of reserved, but I hope this video touched someone or helped someone. If you guys are struggling with mental health, implement those self-care things, and track your sleep, track your moods, try all of those things, and I hope that they help you. And I will obviously continue to help you guys more along my journey. And again, if you're someone who does not have access to healthcare, therapy, or other resources, I am so sorry, and I feel you, and I'm here for you, and I will always be a resource if you guys need me. So leave me a comment down below if you enjoyed this, and please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.